Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take good care. Wayward Pines is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. Ethan, a Secret Service agent from Seattle, wakes up in a forest after a car accident, with a bruised face and feeling disoriented. He found a way through the pine forest and arrived at a seemingly peaceful part of the city, Whimsical Pines, Idaho. His appearance in town attracts attention. Curious looks from passers-by, and when he walks into a restaurant and collapses from exhaustion, he learns from a waitress who he is. Ethan wakes up in a hospital bed in Wayward Pines, where a nurse Pam took care of him and explained that he had minor injuries from the car. Ethan asked about his mate Stallings, who was with him during the accident, just to find out if Stallings had died a tragic death. When he asked for his cell phone and belongings, he told them at the police station, but he is encouraged to rest. Despite being the only patient in the hospital and against Pam's advice, Ethan leaves to go to the police station. He found he couldn't retrieve his belongings during the day, which led him to a nearby bar. Meanwhile, Adam, Ethan's boss, informs his wife Teresa that Ethan had an accident, but they still haven't found his body at the bar. Ethan borrowed the phone of a waitress named Beverly to try to contact his family, but was unsuccessful. Beverly sympathized with his situation and gave him her address in case he needed further help. He tells her his identity and that he is looking for two agents, Evans and Kate, who are also Ethan's lovers. Then he noticed her note mentioning there were no crickets at Wayward Pines on the way to the motel. He heard crickets, but they came from a hidden speaker the next morning, unable to pay for his hotel. Ethan goes to Beverly's address to find an abandoned cabin with Evan's decomposing body inside. Returning to the police station, he meets an indifferent police chief, Arnold, who denied having Ethan's belongings and did not answer about the body. Ethan's attempts to make a phone call were again unsuccessful at the bar. Ethan finds out about the new operator and Beverly's mysterious absence after an argument. Ethan was knocked unconscious. This time he woke up in the hospital. Retains Dr. Jenkins, a psychiatrist who insists on performing surgery due to a presumed blood clot despite Ethan's objections. He is injected with a sedative which he leaves in the operating room. To everyone's surprise, Beverly saves him and together they take down Pam and they escape from the hospital. They reach a bungalow isolated, where Beverly shares her own experiences. She revealed that she came to Wayward Pines in 1999 looking for and escaped for a year. She also told him that she and Evans tried to escape, but he was killed when Ethan fell under a sedative. He tells him that it's actually 2014 Ethan woke up and found Beverly missing. Adam and Seattle investigators are stumped by the lack of evidence that Ethan was in the car during the crash. Meanwhile, in Wayward Pines, Ethan spots Kate, the other missing agent, at a nearby party. She seems older than he remembers, and Ethan is cautious. Followed her to a house where she entered with a man named Harold. When Ethan confronts Kate, she denies knowing him and warns him about the city's extensive surveillance with hidden cameras and microphones. Surprisingly, she reveals that she has lived in Wayward Pines for 12 years, causing Ethan to worry and panic, determined to escape. Ethan steals a parked car, but his attempt to leave Wayward Pines fails as he inexplicably finds himself back in town, frustrated by his attempt to escape. Footsteps only to be stopped by a giant electric wall surrounding the city. Sheriff Arnold confronts him about the car theft and denies his claim that he is a Secret Service agent. The next day, Ethan returned to the cabin where he found his colleague's body still intact. He discovers a mysterious notebook in his friend's boot, but is interrupted by Arnold, who arrives with a gun and claims that the medical team is legitimately coming. Ethan is forced to leave and returns to the hotel at the bar. He suddenly meets Beverly again. She secretly arranges a secret meeting and gives him money, hinting at a plan involving Evan's notebook. Use that money. Ethan goes to a coffee shop and tries to call the Secret Service only to get caught out. That the operator is an imposter. He becomes suspicious when the cashier rushes to take the bill from him. Ethan then tries to contact Kate at the store despite her best efforts. Kate remains aloof and secretive, adhering to the town's strict rules against discussing the past. Ethan's confusion deepens when he visits the Evans home, where Evans' wife denies knowing him and claims to have witnessed her husband's suicide while searching for answers. Arnold asked him to stay at the hotel and informed him that Evan's body had been sent to the morgue during the morgue retreat. Ethan unexpectedly took back Evan's clothing notebook. Ethan saw his wife Teresa and son Ben being taken to the hospital stretchers, but he couldn't find them anywhere. Dr. Jenkins warns Ethan that his condition is deteriorating and emphasizes that he needs immediate surgery in Seattle. Teresa becomes increasingly worried about Ethan's whereabouts, and their son Ben suspects Ethan of running away with Cade when she contacts Adam. For information, he assures her of his efforts but explains that the details are kept secret, which deepens the mystery, and worries about Ethan's fate increase as Ethan continues to unravel the town's mysteries, where he meets Beverly at their arranged location in Pine Forest, where she reveals that a tracking device was implanted in him together. They removed the equipment to an isolated stone house. Beverly also shares the terrible truth that Sheriff Arnold publicly executed Evans to warn the town. Ethan meets Kate again and, despite his reservations, accepts an invitation to dinner at her house with Beverly supervising. He is very smart, leaves the tracking chip on his hotel bed, and goes looking for a package hidden in the pine forest, indicated by a map inside Evan's belongings. After he retrieves the package, Ethan watches from afar as Arnold fires a shot at Kate's house while Beverly watches nervously. At the dinner table, Ethan searches the bathroom for surveillance equipment. Beverly accidentally mentions her daughter breaking the town's strict rules. Realizing her mistake, she apologizes, which leads to a tense situation where every phone in town rings simultaneously, signaling they have been exposed. Ethan and Beverly hurriedly left. Escaping the mob, now alerted to their actions in the cemetery, Ethan asks Beverly to retrieve the agent's package while he drives the mob away. However, Beverly is captured by the townspeople. Ethan hid in a nearby house. He witnesses a terrifying scene as Beverly is dragged onto the stage. Before an excited crowd, Arnold incites the crowd to punish Beverly for trying to escape, and she is brutally executed in front of onlookers, including Ethan, while Ethan's wife Teresa and her son Ben's family travels to Idaho to investigate Ethan's disappearance. They arrive at the Secret Service facility, headquarters in Boise, Idaho, where Ethan was last reported. While there, Teresa discovers traces of Wayward's pun while Teresa and Ben are near town. They are stopped by Sheriff Pope, who sabotages their car under the guise of fixing an oil leak the next morning. Ethan stumbles across a truck full of supplies that reveal a connection to the outside world, which he hides in the truck's cargo hold, eventually entering a well-lit warehouse filled with workers and vehicles abandoned, including one belonging to his wife Teresa. Inside Teresa's car, he discovers her and Ben's personal items, leaving him even more desperate and confused. Regarding his family's whereabouts and safety, the plot takes a dramatic turn as Ethan's situation becomes increasingly mysterious as Ethan explores the warehouse. Sheriff Arnold suddenly appeared and attacked him with a catif. Ethan passes out and then wakes up in a hospital bed. The nurse informs him that his wife Teresa and son Ben were taken to Wayward Pines and are now living in Beverly's old house, although he does not believe it. Ethan visits his family, feeling both relieved and worried about their safety in the city. He warns Teresa not to wander or communicate with anyone, even over the phone. Learning of the town's oppressive surveillance, Ethan later confronts Arnold and Nurse Pam at the police station, demanding to know why his family was brought to Wayward Pines. Arnold insists it's for their happiness, but Ethan isn't convinced, and furious insists on getting more answers during their heated exchange, interrupted by a mysterious phone call that implies that Arnold is just a pawn in a larger plan controlled by an unknown mastermind outside the police station, who advises him to abandon any thoughts of Ethan escaping. However, he firmly stated that he had no place in Wayward Pines and sought to learn more. Ethan meets Kate in the pine forest, away from the prying eyes of surveillance cameras. However, Ben follows his father and witnesses the encounter, causing him to rush home and inform Teresa. Kate explains about Ethan, that after 12 years in Wayward Pines, she has resigned herself to following the town's rules as her only means of survival. Returning home, Ethan is shocked to learn that his family has disappeared with only Teresa's wedding ring remaining. He searches frantically and discovers them near solitary confinement, wall where Arnold threatened them with a gun in a tense confrontation. Ethan fights Arnold and Ben intervenes by hitting Arnold with a car as Arnold is about to die. He cryptically warns Ethan that the truth is much worse than he can imagine as Ethan takes the key to the wall of seclusion that only opens the door to a stranger, attempted to snatch Arnold's body with a horrifying noise. Ethan quickly closed the door and escaped with his family. The family was deeply shaken. Ethan advises them to pretend to live a normal life while they plan. They escape the next day. A mailman delivers a letter to Ben welcoming him to Wayward Pine Academy in uniform. Ethan needs the gun to go to the police station to meet with Mayor Brad, who warns him to follow city regulations and avoid asking questions. Ethan is also congratulated on becoming the new sheriff with a cake and a reluctant newspaper announcing Arnold's retirement. Ethan plays the game while Ben attends Wayward Pine Academy, where he meets his teacher Megan, who is also the mayor's wife and a therapist specializing in training children's minds. Ethan, continuing his investigation, discovers hidden files on the townspeople, leading him to dig deeper into the Wayward Pines secrets just as tensions in the town continue to escalate. Locals capture a man named McCall, who is accused of spreading harmful ideas on the wall. Nurse Pam pushed for a public execution the next night, but Ethan, now serving as sheriff, strongly opposed it in his office. Ethan interrogates McCall, but is interrupted by a phone call that causes him to reluctantly agree to execute McCall the next night. Ethan's son Ben sneaks out with his school friend Amy, showing the growing curiosity of the younger generation and defiance while Ethan and Teresa have dinner at a local restaurant with the mayor and his wife Megan, where other city residents, including Pam Kate and her husband, also dined. A celebration for the new sheriff ensues, during which Pam takes the opportunity to congratulate Ethan but also emphasize the importance of following the town's strict rules. The weight of his new role publicly declares his commitment to destroying true evil in Wayward Pines after dinner. Ethan asks Teresa to go home while he tries to secretly help McCall escape the cell, but McCall suggests they go to the lone wall at some point. Cliff near the wall. McCall pondered his goal, whether to keep the house inside or something from the outside in a moment of desperation. McCall kisses Ethan, then rushes into an electrified wall, sacrificing himself to gain freedom. Teresa meanwhile receives a letter. Says she can now work at Wayward Pines Associates, McCall's former workplace. Ethan is determined to leave Wayward Pines. He packs his weapons and tries to scale the cliff. Shooting Ethan is unable to fend off the swift creature the next morning. Ethan prepares to move through the pine forest, hoping to find help in the nearest town. Ben finds his new school surprisingly perfect, while Teresa starts her new job at a real office. She is tasked with helping new resident Wayne, who seems confused and disoriented, make sense of the shared experience. Teresa offers to help and discreetly asks about his past, but their conversation is later interrupted by Pam. Teresa takes Wayne to a house under the boys' direction for a tour using the sound of the dryer as cover. She warns him about the surveillance at Wayward Pines. She learns from Wayne that he remembers waking up in a room surrounded by others in similar circumstances while Ben and two new students were called into a closed, all-white room to decide. Direction: Megan, teacher and wife of the mayor, begins. With a hint that they are about to learn hidden truths from hot-tempered teacher Pines, Megan reveals disturbing images of a monstrous, hairless humanoid that evolved from human to predator. The dominant bait is known as Abby, short for Abrant. She explains that these Abby creatures move in herds. With a lunch break to give students a short break to process this revelation, the lesson resumed, with each student given an ancient coin dated the year 2095, prompting teacher Morgan to reveal a revelation. Surprisingly, the current year is not 2014 as they believe, but 4028. She explains that their supposed accidents were actually deliberate choices to bring them to Wayward Pines. Residents, including students, have been in hibernation for more than 2 millennia, chosen by the show's creator, David, who Megan says is still watching out for them even though they will never meet he. Ethan felt a constant feeling. Surveillance entering the forest, He cleverly used animal carcasses to hide his scent and observe the abies. His journey through the forest leads him to the ruins of human civilization, confirming Professor Megan's revelations. Unexpectedly, he encounters a helicopter and meets Dr. Jenkins, who reveals himself to be David, the architect of Wayward Pines. David urges Ethan to quickly return to town. The continuation of the story will be uploaded soon. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.